This is your Neepawa Town Council Debrief for the March the 7th, 2023 meeting. The debrief will take you through the key issues being discussed by Council and provide a bit more information on what they mean for the town. Councillor Nadeau reports on a few upcoming events at the Yellowhead Centre, including the return of the circus, a new lacrosse league looking to start up, and ice bikes that will be making their first appearance later this month. The bikes were actually announced last year, but the Yellowhead has only recently become insured to allow the public to use them. He also shares the draft MOU or Memorandum of Understanding that participating municipalities will sign with the Rossburn Trail Association to clarify who is responsible for what. Currently, each municipality looks after its own maintenance and repairs for their section of the trail, but the association has applied for some funds to help with those costs and will be covering a portion going forward.
Hi, I've got a couple reports for council here. On February 27th, we had a Yellowhead meeting. A week a little later because of the holiday in February. Some of the highlights to share with council from the Yellowhead meeting would be, I don't want to steal the thunder of the Yellowhead, but we're looking at bringing the circus in again, so there's more definite path to that happening, and I'm sure you're going to hear an announcement soon enough. Again, we're doing the Yellowhead review, so members of the Yellowhead board and some of our council here and other stakeholders have been participating in that. We're hoping to get that very soon. There's a new lacrosse league that is looking to start. So that is another way to use the Yellowhead and to have recreation and physical activity in our community. So that's really exciting. We have a presentation and we're looking to see that move forward, so that's a positive. The ice this year is going to stay in at the Yellowhead until about mid-April, which is longer than it usually does stay. And a lot of our user groups are looking to use it. And one thing that is looking to start, hopefully in March, we're looking to see, which is now March, those ice bikes that the town once helped apply for a grant. So we're looking to see those ice bikes. The Yellowhead has got the insurance in place, so we're looking to set a date and get that going too, so people in the community can use the ice bikes. Of course, with the rink being open until mid-April, that'll be more public skating time for users in the community. And I think that's everything with the Yellowhead. Another meeting that I had was the Rossburn Subdivision Trail Association meeting. That was on, it was last week. I don't have the date in front of me. But what we did do is we talked more about this MOU, and I finally get a chance to share with you guys the draft. This is the draft. The way the MOU will come out, if you wanted to take a copy and pass that around, they are going to come as a delegation and present it formally to everyone, but this is what the draft is looking like, and there's some highlights to tell you about. Currently, each municipality that's part of the Trail Association, they look after their own maintenance and repairs. However, we've been very fortunate with COVID, it's coming around everyone, where we are able to, the Trail Association has been able to apply for a lot of the maintenance costs, and that maintenance cost is now going to be, a lot of it will be taken up through the Trail Association itself to help pay for any damage or repairs. Of course, it's going to be an agreement between the municipality and the RSTA, but here's what it's kind of looking like. So just to share with you that we're going to have a more formal agreement. That way, moving forward, it's a little more clear on who's responsible for what. And if you look here, our responsibilities, besides having the insurance that we have already, is to mow it twice a year, to mow a path. And we're right at the end of the trail, so from here to Russell, we're at the end of this particular trail, so definitely something that's coming in the near future. We're going to see someone come here to present to all of council. Our board members are prepared to come to council. So that's one thing that we've been working on. Another thing was today, actually, I was able to participate in a Trans-Canada Trail subdivision case study interview, and what it is it's an economic impact analysis of the trail system throughout Manitoba, and it's got more of a global or across Canada effect to it, but we're focused on our section of the trail and how we can use our trail, because we're not monopolizing the trail to its advantages that it could have. So that's something that we're looking at doing, and I was able to help represent our trail association today, and our leader there thought it went really well today, so that was really good. One last thing to share with you, I emailed today our CAO, Schnitzen. Okay. I'm not doing it justice today, that's for sure, but we did get a letter on behalf of the library group, and I just wanted to read to you here. It was from our Honorable Minister of Sport, Culture and Heritage, and if you can share it with the rest of council later tonight. But basically what it is the Manitoba government is working to strengthen our public library system across the province. So as part of its ongoing commitment to strengthen the Manitoba public library system, the Manitoba government is engaging with library boards, municipal reps, and other key stakeholder organizations to consider a new approach to provincial operating support and to confirm key priorities for the sector. So our minister, the Honorable Obi Khan, he asked for us to complete a survey. So on behalf of our municipality and as a member of the library board, I went online and completed the survey. So that's the first step in this engagement, but definitely it's helping to share what we're seeing as a community as part of the WMRL.
Councillor Sisley attended a vet board meeting this month and reports that they will be hosting a veterinary student this summer. As well, she was able to elaborate on the ice bikes that are coming to the Yellowhead, which are being trialed with young people over spring break and also with Kinsman Courts 2 residents. Councillor Gerard reports on preliminary discussions of the Finance Committee. We can expect to see the budget later on this spring. And Deputy Mayor Parrott talks about making long-term plans for utilities and transportation needs, as well as the upcoming LPN program, which was just announced by the provincial government.
Councillor Sisley.
We had a vet board meeting on Wednesday, February 22nd. First half of the levy requests have been sent out to all municipalities. And the clinic will be having a first-year vet student for the summer this year. And I'm also just going to touch on the ice bikes because I'm actually working with Lindsay on the advertising, so I know the dates that they're going to be on. We're doing March 17th is Arts Forward's Days Off School program. We are going to do an afternoon session with the ice bikes with the kids just to promote, and then Lindsay is looking at doing 1-hour sessions each day over spring break to try and bring some kids in over spring break. And she was also going to go to Kinsman Courts 2 and see if they can get some of the residents there to come out and try the ice bike. So.
Great, thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Gerard.
Yes, on February 22nd, the Finance Committee met and we've just had some preliminary discussions and that on the upcoming budget, looking at some revenues, looking at some expenses, and we'll be meeting again shortly. There's also been some changes in some funds from the province to the municipality receiving some of those impacts, but there's a lot of exciting opportunities with some significant investments in the community, and with every opportunity, sometimes the challenges are tied to that as well. So we'll make sure we stay tried and true and focused. But yeah, that's Finance Committee.
Yep. Great, thank you. Deputy Mayor Parrott.
On February 23rd, we met with Minister Eileen Clark, here at the town office, myself and staff, and we dealt with the beefs and bouquets of as we plan for our next 30 years, dealing with the utility service needs as well as our transportation needs. On the 27th, after cheering up and down about a wonderful announcement that I believe CAO Cindy Tishin will go over, we met with ACC, Cinnamon Community College, and Prairie Mountain Health and staff to go over the requirements that will be needed for the LPN training program that's coming to Neepawa. And I fixed something at the clinic. I can't remember what it was.
Well, thank you.
Oh yeah, I work at the clinic. We started in about a month on the roof, which was tendered out last fall.
Okay. All right.
Manager of Operations Denise Kay brings news that conversations with the province and the school division regarding the crosswalk on Mountain Avenue at Hospital Street have been fruitful. The town has been granted permission to relocate that crosswalk to the north side of the intersection from its current location on the south side. You'll recall recently there was a petition that was brought to council regarding this very issue. Work will commence after school lets out for the summer. Other projects include the Lagoon Phase 2 project and the golf course repairs project, and these are proceeding as expected.
First things first, we'll announce that there's going to be a temporary detour notice for Thursday. I believe Jody has posted this online for us and notified all emergency services it should be affected. But the railway crossing on Rosedale Avenue near John's Electric will be closed Thursday, March 9th from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. just to do some track repairs there at the crossing. So expect detours going on to Commerce Street. Anyone needs to go around that way. The active transportation study's been ongoing and they're making progress on that. They've been reaching with stakeholders and getting different input. We've also received some input regarding the Main Street pedestrian crossing at Hospital Street. So we had an inquiry about that, about relocating it, and after much back and forth with the province and also the school division, we have been granted permission to relocate that crossing. This constitutes many years of looking into it, our own requests. It also ties to our active transportation study that's going on as well. And not exactly where the school division wants to see the crossing, but it will be addressed to the north side of the intersection opposed to the south side. So we'll be commencing that work once school is out, so we don't impede any children there trying to cross over. We've been dealing with warranty issues at the water plant reservoir project. We've got a few pumps that just have had some issues, so those our engineers are dealing with that, and we're doing warranty claims on those units that are defective. Lagoon project, phase 2. They've got some of the concrete walls poured there, so they'll be doing some form stripping right away. But that project is proceeding nicely, moving along. On the staff front, we've had staff away for training, writing a few exams. We've also had staff last week at the MWW's annual conference. So we had 4 staff and myself there. It was a well-attended conference, so the staff got a chance to network and listen to some technical papers. It was good networking event, but also good training and get out to talk to other industry people and understand the same problems and share some stories. We've also signed up staff for some May training, so we've got 3 going to water distribution level 1 and level 2 training, and 1 taking wastewater collection level 2 training. That'll be in May, so we'll get some more exams written, some more staff certified. And that's everything I've got. I guess the golf course project is proceeding nicely there, where the DFA work has been ongoing. It's anticipated that the bridge should arrive March 17th for installation there. So it's slightly behind schedule, but it shouldn't impede the opening of the course. They've been moving along nice. There might be a little bit of tidy up work, which we anticipated once we get full spring melt there. But that project's been ongoing. We've been getting regular updates, and to our knowledge, they've been in contact with the Gulf land lead there on that project, just to ensure that nothing is going all right on site.
The province of Manitoba has increased the pot for funding municipalities for the first time since 2016. Neepawa's portion of this pot is increasing by over $255,000 compared to last year, which is approximately, I believe, 67%. This also factors in the new per capita calculation based on the most recent census data. And as we all know, the census data has increased tremendously from 2016 to 2021. Given the number of ongoing projects in the community right now, there is no doubt that the additional funds will find a good home.
Ollie?
So the single piece of correspondence we have on February 24th, we're approved the announcement by the province of Manitoba that they're announcing $47 million increase to the operating funding basket to municipalities. So what does that mean for the town of Neepawa? Currently, we will be receiving $624,736.81 in unconditional operating funding for 2023. This is an increase of $255,014.98 over last year, which is about 69%. And part of that actually includes our per capita calculation that will align with 2021 census data. So it's not just the increase in what they were giving to municipalities, but we also get the adjustment for the increase in our population. Important to note that this is a 7-year freeze. We haven't had an increase in this operating basket since 2016, and I guess I would like to personally thank our MLA from Agassiz, Ivy Clark, who also sat on municipal relations, was instrumental for advocating for not just Neepawa, but for municipalities across the province, and understanding that CPI changes, prices change, supplies have gone up instrumentally, and this was a welcome increase in the funding basket that we can incorporate into our finance meetings, and we're going to spend it.
There's a home.
There's several, so that's kind of nice.
The province announced last week that they are investing $2.1 million in a one-time program to train practical nurses on site in Neepawa. This is a long-anticipated announcement, and CAO Shinchishan outlines the journey the town, along with the RHA, Assiniboine Community College, Settlement Services, and Westlake Employment, had to take to put the pieces in place for the program. While a provincial money is intended to cover operating capital for the program, which will include all the necessary equipment for it, the town itself will be responsible for the facility. They will be renovating the old RCMP building to be able to run the program now that the detachment has moved out to their new location on the former CN property. They are aiming for a start date of January 2024 for the program, though that is dependent on how quickly the pieces can come together. There will be an information session on March 22nd at 7 p.m. at the Neepawa Legion for interested parties.
Colleen, some exciting news that I think everybody is starting to become aware of.
So in fairness to the public, because clearly there had to have been some knowledge come forward at some point in time in the office, and we were privileged to keep that to ourselves because it was pending development and approvals and various things. So I'm going to go back to December 10th, 2021, when Manitoba announced a new expanded healthcare facility for Neepawa. Construction to be completed in 2025. We recognized at that time there'd be a broad spectrum of staff required to actually work in this facility and to backfill possibly in other facilities. So we reached out at that time to Prairie Mountain Health to begin to understand what the employment needs would be. Settlement Services to collaborate with newcomers that may be seeking employment or want to upskill, and ACC to discuss remote training in Neepawa. Then in April of 2022, we quickly took the initiative on behalf of Council to write to Minister Reyes of Advanced Education, Skills and Immigration, and at that time saying, you need to remove the barriers that would allow Neepawa to host appropriate community-based training in advance of the hospital opening. And he actually advocated that we should continue to work with ACC. And why this is important is when you look at nurses training, it can only be offered in Winnipeg or Brandon technically or up north and whatnot. So how could we bring some here? So by August of last year, we actually were more formally participating in conversations to attract the training program specific to nursing. And we were investigating the availability of buildings in Neepawa that would meet or exceed the requirements of the College of Nurses. So if you go back in time, we all know the Resource Center was the building that was on Davison Street. ACC had a presence in that building, and clearly it's not there any longer, it was not an option. But what would meet the needs in Neepawa? The College of Nurses was very strict in their guidelines of what they had to have as far as floor space, which basically, as each building was reviewed, they were stricken off the list because either through code requirements or whatever, they just could not be considered. They needed one floor, they needed very specific requirements to host this particular program. So there was no building at the time that necessarily stood out as meeting the requirements. So then we started to focus on a building that we already owned and would be vacant in November of 2022. And we all know that to be known as the building at 239 Mill Street, or the old RCMP detachment. In September of last year, we had to engage a little more formally, and we agreed to partner with ACC and Prairie Mountain Health, and we had to commit to the provision of suitable space to host the training. This commitment was critical to moving forward. Council was very good at saying, we want the program, we will make space, we will find it, and we will make this happen. So based on that, in November of last year, we were advised that the college, ACC, actually submitted a request to the provincial government to host the LPN training program in Neepawa. And we also met with Minister Reyes of the Department of Advanced Education, Skills and Immigration to ensure that the province was supportive of us. They knew that we were serious. We were going to do our part. We wanted to be part of the solution. It was a very successful meeting. January of this particular year, then, knowing that there was a ministerial change, we now wrote with our same information to Minister Greenwald of Advanced Education and Training to ensure that under her new portfolio that she took on, she was aware of the matter that was on the plate, and hopefully she would garner support for us as well. So then as we sat and wait over these months, knowing there could be an announcement every month, we waited and nothing came. Finally, in February 27th, the province announced an investment, $2.1 million, for a one-time practical nursing program in Neepawa. It's a pretty exciting day. So for the public, where do we go from here? I'm asking council's approval that administration can continue engaging in obtaining formal plans and specifications to renovate the old RCMP building to ensure compliance with the program requirements of the College of Nurses. So that means an addition. Once we receive those plans, we'll set forth on a formal tender process, and we are going to be bound by an extremely tight time frame on this. We're looking at completion before the end of 2023. Neepawa will own the building. We will be responsible for the building renovations. The ACC, however, will commit to leasing the building from the town to run the program. So as much as there's $2.1 million in operating capital announced, the capital portion of that they're talking about is more for equipment and beds and putting all those things in there that they need to run a program. We have to do the building, so that's our commitment. So what is the anticipated start date? We're getting asked this all over. This is not set in stone. That's why we're trying to meet these time frames. They're looking at, collectively with partners, we're looking at a course start date of January 2024. That is not a guarantee yet though, so let's get through the plans, get the specifications. Can we set that schedule? Can we keep ourselves to that schedule? Because once they start doing an intake for registration for the program, things are starting to move now, so we need to be ready and prepared to do that. So should we meet those programs, we would anticipate graduating 25 new nurses into the workforce in a reasonably timely fashion to complement the opening of the new hospital. So where can people get more information? These are now the questions that are coming up. Anyone interested in a 2-year LPN program in Neepawa? Neepawa is actually partnering with Assiniboine Community College, Settlement Services, Westlake Employment Skills and Services, and Prairie Mountain Health to host an information session on March 22nd, coming up pretty quick here, 7 p.m. at the Neepawa Legion. So I don't need a formal resolution of council tonight. I would just like your discussion about allowing, because I have nothing formally to ask you yet. Let us proceed and get the paperwork in order and get the right people in place to determine what mechanical, electrical, and everything we need to do on the building. And as we get through the next few weeks, give us a better idea of whether we can meet the schedule of roughly mid-November to get this in place. So, any questions?
Full steam ahead.
Yes.
Yeah, it is definitely going to be a priority for ourselves coming up with the new hospital. We definitely want to make sure that we're out of the gates with good staffing and that, so definitely.
Yeah, I agree. One of the things we hear in the community is new hospital, but how are we going to staff it? And I think it's important that, council from day one has been supportive of the idea that we want to be part of the solution of making sure that that hospital is staffed.
So that's where that $255,000 announcement is going to be very helpful.
Finally, the town has received an offer to purchase a small piece of land directly to the north of the Chicken Delight property on the corner of Highway 16 and 5. This sale is subject to the purchase of the adjacent property and the consolidation of these properties, as this piece is not a viable commercial property on its own. The sale is not a done deal yet, so we do not want to get ahead of ourselves, but it does look like something might be happening on that property in the near future, which has been sitting vacant for quite some time now.
So this particular property that we've had an offer on is Roll 1340. It's lot 56, plan 65638. It's a parcel of land that is about 5,188 square feet in size, and it sits directly north of what we would all know as the previously owned Chicken Delight property. So I don't want people going out and saying, yay, we're gonna have another chicken flight or something to be there. That not necessarily is the case. So right now there is negotiations underway for that property. But when the individual that's coming forward is looking at the location of the property and what they might like to do, and it changes what happens in the landscape of running a retail operation in a commercial area, they see the advantage of gaining that 5,188 square feet on the north side of that property, of creating better parking and a better way of maneuverability around the lot. Because we all know when the functional design comes into play, I would suggest the access off of PTH 60 in those locations will no longer exist there. So we want to make sure that they can come in off of Stonehouse Street properly and whatnot, and we've always said when we actually do the subdivision for the CN property, that the small little strips of land that would sit north of all those commercial enterprises should firstly be offered to those commercial businesses so that they can have access off the service road to the north. So more importantly, this particular property is not a standalone saleable property on its own. It does not meet the commercial highway requirements. To be a minimum requirement of 20,000 square feet in size. Of course, this is about 1/4 of that. It does not meet the 100-foot frontage size, it's only what, 51.79. So technically, in the terms of planning world, it is an undevelopable piece of property. It should technically be sold to somebody that can make some use and augment the use out of that. So we ran those numbers into the calculator about what price we would sell that for and what was feasible for that particular lot. And it came up to roughly $3 a square foot, which would mean the offer that came in would be $15,564 for that particular property to this person. We would do subject to concluding the successful sale of the other, should they want to proceed. We don't know that answer yet. And of course, then we would have to complete purchases and sales agreement. So right now, the Regional Council is committed to providing that property for them to continue with their negotiations. And if you are, we would ask for the resolution.
Also covered were the RCMP quarterly report, the appointment of a new weed inspector, an increase in fees for construction and demolition waste at Evergreen Environmental, and an increase in fees for issuing a tax certificate. You can view end-to-end coverage of the Town Council meeting elsewhere in the NACTV schedule, including immediately following this. If you have questions about the town's operations that we can help find the answers to, or if you'd like us to go in depth on any of the topics you've seen Council cover, please let us know. You can reach the station 204-476-2639, email at nactvnews@gmail.com, or on Facebook at Neepawa TV. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you next time.